Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War chain reaction event in which the researcher is added to the game. So I am currently still away, so we still have the bad mic, unfortunately. We'll be back on the 20th, and this will be the last video we're doing before then, but after that, once the 20th hits, we will be back to normal schedule and go from there. But anyways, let's get over all of the weekly event objectives in Gems of War. So we have a bunch of blue, yellow arcanes this week, 300 each, a little bit more because it's on an ultra rare. Since epics give the best ratio for it. As far as this troop, it had potential to be good if it had 50% mana start, 75% mana start, or Empower. The biggest issue it has, which pretty much everything in Adana has as an issue, except for maybe Tesla because it's just so strong, is this kingdom is made up of a weird mix of humans and mechs. And the biggest issue with this is it makes almost every human in this location pretty horrible in almost every situation. And this is pretty much the case with this, where it's a human that wants to be used with mechs, but because you don't have a mana start, and you're likely not going to be able to fit a mana start into your team, it doesn't really make it viable compared to other mana accumulators that might already have Empower or something similar. So this is a weird mix. It gives a bunch of armor to the first two allies, then explodes 2 gems, +1 for each ally and enemy mech. So, of course, you'd want to have, ideally, more ally mechs, but in doing so, you can't really have her with a mana start, at which point you might as well have Leprechaun or Bomba and just get it up quickly or something similar. So, overall, it could have been good, but didn't get any good traits. It is a little bit weird that I have both of these two, though. It technically gains 3 armor every single time it does a gem match, which is kind of unfortunate, because if one of those was a mana start, it would actually be good, especially if it was Empower or something. But anyways, overall, pretty bad. You're not really going to be using it unless you really just need a mana accumulator. Tribute's ready. Might as well grab it. It's been like 20 gems this late in the game lately. Anyways, as far as the event key drop table, it is, of course, associated to Adana. There's a few okay things to end up picking up if you really want to. The main thing that you probably want to get out of everything is Tesla. If you're going to be getting anything from the event key drop table. If you don't already have double Tesla, you probably want to make sure you have double Tesla before the end of this week. As far as what's in the drop table, everything you see here underneath Adana is available, with the 4 exceptions being, of course, the 4 Tinkertown troops. And because of that, that means we have Tinkertown faction tomorrow. But yeah, for the most part, not too many good options. The main thing that you're going to be going for are either... Oh, yeah, Ironhawk. Oh, wait, there is one other additional thing. Okay, maybe the event key drop table is a little bit better than I thought. I forgot! This is actually the first time Ironhawk is in the event key drop table. So he came in a little bit earlier this year. Definitely a great option to have. Obviously, his main gimmick is deal 5 damage to all enemies when an ally casts a spell. This doesn't seem like much, but you can end up doing it with Dust Devil and other empowers in order to do damage on turn 1 and basically win a battle on Explore difficulty 1 in some easy locations like Cinema Mirage, Wild Plains, I think, and a few other locations. Whatever ones have low durability. But basically, with 2 Ironhawks, you can do 25 damage and literally one-shot everywhere. And there are a few that... Oh, and Blackhawk was the other one, I believe. And some locations, like I just mentioned, end up doing it for only 20 damage, where you do like an Ironhawk into a Dust Devil Greed or something similar, and end up getting exactly the... or double greed, I mean, and get exactly the 20 damage that you end up needing. The most common one is to, I don't think I mentioned it in teams, so I could try pasting one later, but it's the main one I end up using is the Greed Dust Devil Double Ironhawk, which does require 2 of them, but ends up gaining a lot of gold, ends up killing out very quick, and ends up doing 25 damage, so you can end up doing it in any location that you want to do it in, which makes it a little bit more convenient. But overall, really strong thing, probably the most relevant thing. Not that he gains the quickest rate of EXP, which he does, not class XP, but specifically the bigger number, the bigger EXP number for your hero. However, it is the most efficient way in the entire game to farm for gnomes, which is pretty solid, of course. So definitely worth considering getting some copies. Of course, very rare to end up getting, and there is another mythic. Though the other mythic's pretty good, Tina 9000. Like, if you accidentally get Tina 9000 and you don't have it already, that's not really too big a deal. It's also a good troop, though I would say it is a higher priority to get the Ironhawk, though you don't really have a choice, unfortunately. Aside from that, obviously the main thing you want to go for, and you definitely do not want to leave this week without, is 1 or 2 Teslas. So Tesla, you'll probably see me using a lot, particularly double Tesla or Scale Shield into double Tesla into a mana accumulator, is ridiculously strong, and it upscales throughout the entire game. It's a really good first legend to get, or, really early on in the game, and it scales throughout the entirety of the game. And it's just a great option to have. It works for all the game modes that scale upwards, it works for factions, and you can use it for pretty much anything you want. It's very solid. It's not the best option for everything, but it's definitely very well-rounded in being able to do everything, due to the fact that the boost ratio is based off of all the armor within battle, and it also includes the enemy's armor. So as they get stronger, you get stronger, or I should say the Tesla gets stronger. Unfortunately, it is a human in all Mech Kingdom, but she's so strong that kind of doesn't matter. Her traits are also all full, but if nothing else, that means you don't need a trader. So that's kind of a plus in a sense, at least for cheaper in the early game. But yeah, don't leave this week without 1 or 2 Teslas, ideally 2. So yeah, event key drop table, pretty good. Plus the very first task is go use 2 event keys anyways, so might as well do that, if nothing else. Anyways, as far as the word event this week, we do have magic damage, which is nice. The rooms are basically take highest rarity, however, it's in reverse alphabetical order. And I actually forget what the list is, because normally I have it up on the other screen, but I don't have it right now. But basically, I guess I'll try posting in the comment section. But basically, it's reverse alphabetical order for the legends, and then just do it based on rarity order. And you should be good to go. It's a little bit weird because it kind of has like 3 different sets, where you only get like the lower ones initially, then you get like the slightly higher ones, and then you get all of them. It's a bit of a weird event, definitely not one of the more favorable ones. However, we can use Tesla, so that's all that matters. And you can just run Tesla the whole time, and you're pretty much going to be perfectly fine. Clockwork Sphinx into double Tesla, and then you can just do it with one of the mana accumulation weapons. This one particularly just uses the little mech drill thing, which has some resummon, gives some stats effects, but you can use pretty much anything there that is Adana related, as the restriction is of course Adana, and only Adana, which doesn't mean it is not Adana mech, which means you can use Tesla, which means the event is already auto won. So if you'd already have Tesla, make sure to get it, as it will help a lot in completing that out. Anyways, as far as the games, we have ourselves the Tuesday of Tinkertown. As I mentioned earlier, Wednesday we have the Adana pet, Thursday we have the class event for Mech class, which is a pretty solid class, so you're mostly use it for its fully traded aspect, which it gives 50% mana start to all mechs. And this Friday we do indeed have Bounty Hunter, which will end up being bringing in a new troop, and we'll probably do the entirety of it on Sunday night when we end up getting back on our 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time stream, and we'll have a big stream coming back. But anyways, as far as troops, there are a couple things worth getting. Probably most noteworthy would be Ketch's Bull, really good damage option. Boost ratio is off of all his stats. Well, technically those 3, but he also uses magic, so technically all 4 as far as doing additional damage, which magic, of course, still being the best of the ratios. He also gains a bunch of additional stats every single time he takes red. Overall, a great damage source if you don't already have one. Not the best one in the game, but definitely one that is worth considering, and can upscale by increasing any of his stats, which is pretty convenient, because if you want to increase something like HP for survivability, he actually gains damage from it. Which is one of the better troops that ends up doing that. The next main thing that you probably want to get is Obsidius. Obsidius has a 4-time stun, really good utility troop, you tend to use it a lot, and overall just a great troop. And other than that, Umnif could be worth considering. It's kind of like a Zugoff alternative. You probably almost never see me using it, just because once you own Zugoff, there's almost no point in ever touching this troop again. However, it kind of functions like a Zugoff a little bit differently, in that you actually need to land a kill in order to end up getting the skulls, but it has a lot better attack, if nothing else, than a Zugoff. It also has 2 times damage, it gains attack off its ability, it has some agile, so it can dodge skulls, and ends up gaining more attack as you do gems. So overall, this is more of a better first or second slot compared to a Zugoff. But if you already own Zugoff in like 95% of situations, if not more, you tend to just use Zugoff instead. The burn just makes it so you can do triple damage on hero, which is better than double, and the insta-kill is better than having to worry about if it gets a kill, and the freeze just makes sure that if they do end up taking some skulls, it won't really hit you back more than once, which agile somewhat does, but obviously freeze is better. And of course, Zugoff has Impervious, and this has no immunities whatsoever. So in most situations, you tend to use Zugoff instead, especially if you own Zugoff, but it's a great alternative if you don't. But if you're going to craft anything, Ketch's Bull or Obsidius is probably a bit higher priority, with Ketch's Bull probably in the most highest priority. Still worth skipping this week if you don't feel like you need any of these. There are other damage sources that you might want to get instead of a Ketch's Bull, and Obsidius is something that you don't tend to get until later in the game, because 4-time stun is pretty much the only thing you use it for, and once you feel like you have enough good mythics that that's worth getting, you can, since you mostly only use it for Guild Wars. Very rarely would use it otherwise, maybe for like a Defend Team Guild Wars, All-Fan Team Guild Wars, and that's about it. Anyway, as far as weapons, there are a few really good weapons, mostly 2. Drill Shooter is arguably one of the strongest weapons in the game under some situations, even though it's not really used too often. The main reason for this is it has a Adana boost ratio, and it actually has 20% instant kill. It has the most loopable 20% instant kill of any weapon in the game. So, yeah, it's pretty strong in that regard, because you can just keep poking them and hoping that you get the insta-kill. Obviously, the biggest issue with that is 20% is pretty inconsistent, so you don't tend to really use this. It's kind of like Black Manacles in a sense, except it has looping capability. So it's basically like the same chance that you'll pretty much get a kill off of Black Manacles, and it has that kind of premise. Normally Black Manacles is used instead, of course, because it hits all enemies simultaneously and just ends up working out better. However, there are some situations where you're using a lot of Adana troops, which you probably will be for a lot of stuff this week, where it can be a little bit more viable to do if you're already forced to have to use Adana, and can work in those situations. But more often than not, you tend to stick with Black Manacle, as it tends to be the better variant of basically what this weapon does, but is still a different one, so potentially worth getting. However, I believe the most strongest thing you'd probably want to get if you are to craft absolutely anything would be the Engineer's Drill. It's also the most recent one, if I'm not mistaken, out of any of them that has been released. Explodes a bunch of brown gems, and then grants a random stats effect to all mech allies, which is pretty standard. But the main relevant thing is that it gets to summon a mech troop. This is pretty relevant for mechs compared to some other troop types within the game. The main reason for this is mechs, of course, have a lot of ways to kill themselves. Every single thing in Tinkertown, except for the Legend, has a way to accidentally destroy itself when it casts. And on top of that, Bombot in mech teams is a very popular pick due to its very high damage output, and obviously he has 100% to destroy itself when it ends up casting. So this is a really good weapon if you're using Bombots or any of the Tinkertown troops that isn't the Legend, in order to have a way to resummon mechs, while still having a pure mech team, while also giving them additional benefits and mana. So definitely worth getting, and probably the best weapon if you're going to be crafting anything this week in regard to weapons. So it's basically just between the Engineer's Drill and the Drill Shooter. And technically Mech Axe, though Drill Shooter's better if you're going to be going for one or the other. But anyways, that's everything. Also, both of them create really bad colors, by the way. The Drill Shooter is mostly good because of its effect, which is probably one of the biggest things holding it back. If it actually created brown, it would actually be good. The problem is it creates red and yellow. But if one of those colors was brown, that weapon would be a completely different weapon than it is right now, especially if one of those colors fed into itself, which of course it also does not do. Anyways, I believe that is everything except for the teams. I forgot anything? I don't believe so. So let's get into teams. As far as teams for the week, all of them will be in the description below, as well as apparently the rules for the world event, since I seem to have slightly forgotten them. Though it's basically reverse alphabetical for the legends. I just forget what the 4 legends are called, or the 3 legends, I mean. But anyways, it's Collector Sphinx, Double Tesla, and to the drill I was talking about earlier. If you're going to be doing the world event, obviously just killing out with Tesla. I think you might have even seen this earlier when we clicked on the screen. As far as the lower world event, obviously, you can just go Bombots, and I did use the drill here. This is available this week, so I don't feel bad showing a old event weapon. Normally the week of, or a couple weeks after, I generally still show teams with it. But then after that, I tried not to, because it sometimes takes, not sometimes, but it normally always takes multiple months before weapons like that end up rolling back around, so generally try not to show teams with them, but if it's available for the week, might as well. But yeah, this works really good with Bombots. Really solid team. It's not used too often because obviously there are better options out there, but because we're restricted specifically to mechs from Adana, this works pretty good because Bombot is both an Adana mech, and that's obviously what you need to use. Or sorry, that's for the class event this Thursday. This one is only a Adana restriction. However, still ends up working out really well. Anyways, for the next one, it is Tinkertown. It is a yellow-red restriction, so for that you can use a Finesse team, and that's pretty much what you can do. Just kill it out with Finesse. Pretty standard Pure Faction team. Aside from that, as far as Pure Faction, there are a couple different ways to do this. Obviously, I did run this initially with double Tink Steam Whistle. I believe my team was Smashabot, whatever guy did like the double triple damage thingy in the second slot, and then double of the Legend. However, this was relatively slow, so I figured I'd show it with 1 of the Legend and 3 of the Smashabot. Smashabot, pretty useful, has a lot of mana accumulation, ends up doing damage, and I believe it has boost ratio based on, armor, which obviously he also helps with because he ends up giving additional armor. Overall, this should be fine because you're going to have deaths over the course of the battle anyways, and you can have your Tink Steam Whistle resummon. It is a little bit slower, running 2 Tink Steam Whistle. If you want to do it for Lycanthropy protection, you can kind of judge it based on once you get there on if you feel like you need another one or not. I did personally feel like having 2 of him was a little slow when I initially did it, though it was successful. However, now that there's Lycanthropy, I guess there might be a little bit more of a reason to have 2. Though Lycanthropy, you can generally work around in most situations, especially if you have Smashabot constantly exploding. It's normally going to get the Lycanthropy before the enemy can. But do be wary of that while you're doing the battle, as it can end up getting him. And never mind, wait, hold up, he does have immune to Lycanthropy. I forgot, the dwarves have that. Ignore everything, he's fine. You only need 1. The team is correct. I forgot about that. I knew that when I was making the team. And then I was like, oh, I completely forgot. But yes, he actually does have immune to Lycanthropy, so never mind, that's not a factor at all. He's good to go, you only need 1, that's the team. Anyways. For the final thing, pretty similar to the other one, I just did it with Drill Shooter. This one is the one that is specifically both Adana plus Mech, and that is for the Thursday class events. Pretty straightforward. You could even just run Black Manacles if you really wanted to, or Dustbringer, or Dawnbringer, any of the standard auto-win kind of Thursday weapons. But, of course, this is just Drill Shooter into Triple Bomb Bot, and even if you don't have Drill Shooter or any other ones, you can literally plop any weapon that's not blocking them into Triple Bomb Bot, use Mech class, and you should pretty much be good to go, assuming you have enough damage and you don't win too slowly. Obviously, whatever weapon you have, you do ideally want for cleanup, because you don't want to lose if all your Bomb Bots die, but should be fine, and then just kill them out, and should be perfectly fine for just getting the battles down. And that is all the team, so if you have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Not sure how many I'll be able to get to, but I'll try to here and there when I have some free time. As I mentioned, we will be back on the 20th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and our schedule will pretty much be back to normal then, and we'll do one big stream coming back. We'll have a couple of redeem codes, and probably do the entirety of Bounty Hunter and a few other things, and go from there. And aside from that, all the teams as normal will be in the description below, and I guess I'll also put the rules for the world events this week, since I didn't really explain it too well. Normally I have it on my other monitor, or on my second computer thing, so that I can see what all of them are for when it's one of the more complicated ones, and then it's like, oh yeah, I don't have that here right now, do I? But anyways, guys, I'll catch you guys later. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon! Goodbye, everyone, and see you guys in a week.